Tissues are multiple cells that differentiate to form various types of tissues. Let's further explore the tissue level of the body. Each type of tissue is made up of the same type or multiple types of cells. The four main tissue types are connective, epithelial, muscle, and nervous tissue. Some tissues contain cells that are tightly packed together. Structures that connect the cell membranes to adjoining cells are intercellular junctions. Here we can view the three intercellular junctions between two cells. Histology is the study of tissues. We will examine tissue images magnified with a light microscope or enhanced by a 3D image of a surface sample known as scanning electron microscopy, SEM. Epithelial tissue covers the inside and outside of the body. It has a free surface that is exposed to the outside of the body or the outside of cavity or hollow organ. The basal or bottom, extracellular layer is known as the basement membrane. The basement membrane anchors epithelial tissue to connective tissue. There are three types of simple epithelial cells: squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. Epithelial cells can be squamous, cuboidal, or columnar in shape. There are 8 arrangements of cells and layers known as epithelial tissue types. Pseudostratified, stratified, and transitional epithelium are composed of a variety of combinations of these three simple tissues. Briefly review the chart to orient yourself with the types of tissue. We will further explore most of these next. Epithelial tissue is composed of 3 layers, which we will explore as we briefly review the structures of the integumentary system. Epithelial tissue is our main body covering. It lacks blood vessels and consists of a free surface and a basement membrane. Epithelial tissue functions to aid in protection, secretion, absorption, excretion, filtration, diffusion, and sensory perception. Epithelial tissue is in the skin, lines body cavities, hollow organs, sweat, and sebaceous glands. To the left we have the most simple epithelial cell type, the simple squamous cell, a single layer, flat tissue. Stratified squamous epithelial is made up of many layers of cells. This tissue is relatively thick. The free surface cells of stratified squamous cells are flat, and the deeper layers are cuboidal or columnar. It is located in the outer layer of the epidermis, the lining of the vagina, oral cavity, esophagus, and anal canal. It acts as a protective barrier for chemicals and microorganisms. The stratified epithelial tissue is found most commonly in the epidermis of the skin. It is also found in many organs, the thymus, salivary, and sweat glands. It is characterized by multiple layers of tissue stacked on top of each other. The main functions of this tissue are protection, renewal, and keratinization. Simple columnar epithelium is characterized by its tall, column-like cell structure. Its shape aids in areas where absorption and secretion functions take place. This sample is from the excretory duct of the pancreas. The pancreas secretes hormones such as insulin, glucagon, and somatostatin. Let's take a look at an important stomach membrane. The gastric mucosa's inner layer is epithelial tissue. The middle layer is middle lamina propria, and the outer layer is muscularis mucosa. These layers aid in the protection of the stomach from digestive enzymes and acid. We have observed various epithelial tissue types. Moving deeper into the body, connective tissue supports and connects epithelial tissue to the body. There are 2 divisions of connective tissues: specialized connective tissue and proper connective tissue. Connective tissue proper includes areolar connective tissue, adipose connective tissue, reticular connective tissue, dense regular connective tissue, dense irregular connective tissue, and elastic connective tissue. Specialized connective tissue includes hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, bone, and blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. Blood is characterized by its liquid extracellular matrix and the cells that circulate within it. We will learn more about blood components such as plasma, red and white blood cells when we explore the cardiovascular system. Its main function is to transport materials via blood vessels throughout the body. Lymph is also a fluid connective tissue. Lymph will be covered later with the respiratory and immune system. Hyaline cartilage is only made of chondrocyte cells. It is flexible yet strong in order to cushion and support joint movement. It is located in the ribs, nose, larynx, trachea, and at the ends of bone joints. Compact bone is osseous connective tissue. It is characterized by its dense rings of lamellae around a central canal that contains blood vessels. The hard and strong structure of compact bone allows it to function as a structure for mechanical strength. Compact bone is located in the shaft or diaphysis of long bones, such as the femur. Ligaments are fibrous connective tissues. They are largely composed of fibroblast cells. The composition includes collagen and elastic fibers, as well as fibrocytes. They function to strengthen and support joints, muscles, and bones. They are known as tendons. There are over 900 ligaments in the body. Most ligaments are located where most joints are present in the arms and legs. Areolar tissue is a loose connective tissue that is widely spread throughout the body beneath the skin, surrounding organs and blood vessels. Areolar tissue is largely composed of collagen and elastin fibers in a gel-like fluid. Its main function is to support and connect to other tissues, such as providing flexibility and holding organs in place. Adipose tissue or fatty tissue is composed of adipocytes. This fatty tissue enlarges as it stores fat droplets. They cushion joints, tissues, and some organs. They can be found beneath the skin, between muscles, around the kidneys, the surface of the heart, and around some joints. Reticular connective tissue provides a 3D framework for organs such as the spleen and liver. It is characterized by thin reticular fibers. Let's examine the muscle tissues of the body. The three major muscle tissue types are skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Take a moment to compare the various magnified views of skeletal muscle. Image 1. Skeletal striated muscle fibers at 1000 times magnified. Image 2. A cross-section view of magnified skeletal striated muscle cell fibers. Image 3. Skeletal muscle fibers enhanced by a 3D image of a surface sample known as scanning electron microscopy, SEM. Skeletal muscle tissue can be found throughout the body. Tendons attach skeletal muscle to bones. Also located in the tongue, diaphragm, eye socket, and upper esophagus. Its main responsibility is voluntary body movement. Its appearance is characterized by red and white stripes or striations. Smooth muscle is characterized by involuntary movement, non-striated appearance, fusiform shape, and elasticity. It's found in many internal organs. It plays an important role in the cardiovascular, digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive systems. It facilitates movement of the gastrointestinal tract of the digestive system. In the bladder, it controls urine release. It lines blood vessels such as arteries and veins that regulate blood pressure. In the reproductive systems, it controls muscle contraction for childbirth and sexual function. Within the respiratory system, it controls bronchial airflow, and it controls pupil dilation. Cardiac muscle tissue is located in the heart. It is characterized by involuntary control, branched cells, cardiomyocytes, striated appearance, intercalated discs, high mitochondria density, self-excitation, and thickens when blood pressure is high. The cardiac muscle fibers are connected by intercalated discs that contain cellular gap junctions and desmosomes that allow synchronous contraction. Cardiac muscle is self-excitable and can generate electrical impulses that coordinate heart muscle contractions. Skeletal muscle fibers are bundled and held together by fascia, a connective tissue. Fascia also provides pathways for blood vessels and nerves. we will learn more about muscles and the muscular system later in this course. In review, the three main muscle types are skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Next, we will examine the final tissue type, nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is located in the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, composed of cells with cytoplasmic extensions. The functions of nervous tissue include sensory perception, conduction of electrical impulses, and the release of neurotransmitters. The transverse plane divides the body horizontally into superior and inferior portions. We will learn more about the divisions of the nervous system and nerve signaling in physiology. Let's briefly explore the structures of the skin. The integumentary system, which contains the largest organ of the body, the skin, and its accessory organs. We will learn more about the functions of the integumentary system in physiology. The skin is an organ. Organs are comprised of one or more tissue types. For instance, the integumentary system, which includes our skin, is composed of epithelial and connective tissue. It is closely connected to nervous and muscle tissue via accessory skin structures of the integumentary system. Accessory structures or secondary structures of the skin include hair, nails, and glands. The glands include sweat glands and sebaceous glands. The epidermis is the outer protective barrier and epithelial tissue. The dermis, or inner layer of the skin, is composed of connective tissue. Associated tissues include the nervous tissue for sensation and muscular tissue within the skin's accessory structure, hair follicles. The skin has two major layers, the epidermis and dermis. The hypodermis is not part of the skin. From superficial to deep, the epidermis is the outer layer, the dermis is the inner layer, and the hypodermis is a subcutaneous layer beneath the skin. There are three types of endocrine glands: merocrine, apocrine, and holocrine glands. Glands are in the skin, breast, eyelid, and ear. They function to secrete bodily substances such as oil, sweat, wax, milk, and tears. The glands of the skin include sweat glands and sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands are holocrine glands that secrete oil. The sweat glands are merocrine glands that produce sweat. We've covered a lot in this video: the types of tissues, histology of tissues, and the structures of the integumentary system. Don't sweat the small stuff. Our focus in anatomy is how structures interrelate to each other to prepare us for the functions of physiology.